Welcome to DataViewum channel. As part of Fabric Series 2026, today we are going to explore API for GraphQL language. As part of this video, we are going to learn how can we fetch data using GraphQL language. We can fetch data from lakehouses, warehouses, and some other items in Fabric using GraphQL language. We are going to cover selecting or fetching of data in GraphQL in two parts. In the first part, let's see what we are going to discuss. We will discuss composing a GraphQL query, selecting specific fields, implementing filter condition similar to where clause in SQL, applying aggregation and sorting of data using GroupBy and OrderBy, applying logical and or conditions, defining and leveraging relationships to retrieve nested data, utilizing parameters and variables, handling introspection, activation, deactivation and its importance. How can we fetch data in a warehouse? And at the end, we will also see how can we fetch data in Cosmos DB. So the syntax remains same no matter what kind of engine you are using. Like in Lakehouse, the engine is different. In warehouse, it's different. And again, in Cosmos DB is different. So wherever we don't have SQL in kind of engine, the data will be exposed by the SQL Analytics endpoint. Let's see what are the sources supported for GraphQL language. So first is Microsoft Fabric Data Warehouse, Microsoft Fabric SQL Database, Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse via SQL Analytics endpoint. And as I mentioned before, wherever we don't have SQL like engine, we are going to fetch data using SQL Analytics endpoint. But that's true only for Fabric, not outside Fabric. So we have other sources which are supported. Fabric, Microsoft Fabric mirror databases by SQL Analytics endpoint, and that includes Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Managed Instance, Azure Cosmos DB, Microsoft Fabric SQL Database, Azure Databricks, Snowflake, Open Mirror Databases, Azure SQL Database, and Datamart.
We have two files, inquiries.csv and ukpropertiesdata.csv. Now, why we are using two files? Because we also want to see how relationships work in GraphQL. Let's go through these files. So in inquiries.csv, let's change it to table view. So inquiries.csv has inquiries for rented properties in UK, and these properties are listed on various websites like Rightmove, Zoopla, On the Market. It has property ID, inquiry ID, the name of the inquirer, the email and phone number, date, and inquiry comment or message summary. If we see the other file, it has UK properties data. There's a property ID. So property ID is common to both these files, and we will use this as the key in the relationship. Then we have address, town, county, postcode, property type, bedrooms, bathrooms, furnace status, available from, and listing date. So let's first create two tables from these files. The easiest way is you can directly load two tables. Let's load UK properties data. Right, so both the tables has been loaded and now we have two tables in the DBO schema. Let's go to the graph testing workspace and create a new GraphQL item. Click on new item. Search for GraphQL. API for GraphQL. Let's go ahead with the same name. So this is the UI you will get when you click API for GraphQL. Here we need to select a source, then other options will be visible. Let's go back to the Lakehouse and let's select the SQL Analytics endpoint. So in case of Lakehouse, SQL Analytics endpoint will be used. Let's select that. Click on DBO, tables. We can see both the tables. So here we can write SQL queries. So how we are going to do, we will first write the SQL query and corresponding to that, we will write a GraphQL query. It will take some time to sync up the data in SQL Analytics endpoint. So if you don't see tables, just wait for a few more seconds and you will be able to see the table. Remember, it's a delta table which will be visible here. Let's write a query against it. So first what we are going to do, we are going to write a simple SQL query where we will fetch few columns. And now let's write the similar query in GraphQL. So first we have to select the source. You can choose either of these options. Let's go ahead with the first option. And we will just search graph. UK Latings, that's the Lakehouse name. And notice it's SQL Analytics endpoint type. Let's choose both of them. Click on load. Okay, so this is the UI. You can see we have few other options now enable: export schema, copy endpoint, generate code, schema, and query. And here is a screen to even provide the query variables, which we'll see later. So now let's write a query where we want to fetch the columns. What are the column names we have? Okay, in the meantime, let's go to GraphQL query. So how we will write the graph query? There is a query block. After the query block, we will write the source name. So in this case, you can choose either one of them. So I will choose UK properties data. And after you select the source name, it's a plural name, we will fetch the data using items. That's how we fetch the data. So let's go to the fabric, and here we can see the DBO under the tables. Let's again choose a query. Okay, we already have one query here. To some reason it's not visible, not a problem. We will just copy the, okay, we have closed it, not a problem. So let's just select till town, and we will remove the top 100. Let's run it. So we are interested in three columns: property ID, address, and town. Property IDs, address, and you can choose enter. Oh, by mistake, I have chosen one more. And town. So that's how you can select the three columns. Click on run, and you can see the data: property ID, address, town. Great. So we have just run first GraphQL query. Now let's see other details. How can we write a filter condition or where clause in SQL? So let's first fetch data where town is Slough. So we can simply write a where clause town and Slough. So we get 8 rows for Slough data. Let's write similar query for Slough here. We can write filter condition after the source. So you have to start with bracket. As soon you click, you will see 4 options. We need to select filter. And then you need to select the column name which you are interested. Let's select town. Again, there will be a block and you can give a condition now. So we are going with equal condition. And let's give in double quotes Slough. Click on run. And now you will only get data for Slough. Again, 8 records. You can write further condition like not equal to. Now you will get remaining towns data, and you can even write condition contains, and you will get the data. So remaining options remain same, and that's how you can apply a filter condition. Now what about let's again make it Slough and equal to. So let's see how we can write a logical condition on that. Suppose I want a AND condition. So go back to the SQL Analytics endpoint, and we have data for many towns. Let's see what are the towns we have. And let's write a condition where town is Reading, where town equal to Reading, and this time we will get a single record. Now let's apply same condition in GraphQL. So one way is, by default, if you add any condition after this, it will be treated as end. So I can write address equal to 4 maple close. Okay, so let's write this condition in double quotes. We use double quotes in GraphQL. And you didn't get anything, so I'm sure we have done some mistake. Now what is the mistake? Address equal to 4. Okay, so 4 maple close and town is Reading. So let's just change it to Reading, and this time we will get single record. But this might be confusing, and suppose how we can apply the OR condition if you want to apply. So what we can do, there is another way we can write this. After this bracket, so we need to put this whole logic inside the bracket. Right. Now how you can format? Select the whole code, click on write, and then you will get format document. Great. Let's run now. And this time we will get only single record. And similarly, you can write the OR condition. You can write even OR. This time there are no other records. That's why we got this. Even the OR, same output. We have seen now how we can write logical condition. Let's now sort the data. So how we can sort the data? We have order by. So we can order by. Let's remove this filter, otherwise we will not get much data. Okay, so let's apply order by. How we can apply order by? We can simply say order by, and we can listing date descending. So we get all the properties. Let's add even listing date. 13/2/2026, 12/2/2026, 12/2/11, 10, and you can see it's sorted. We can even change the order. And now it's ascending, starting from 2nd of Feb. Great. So we have seen how we can apply the order by. Now let's apply the condition how we can select fetch first or top 10 records. So we have something called first, and we can say, let's see, 5. So you will get first 5. In the SQL, it will be done by top. Let's remove this condition so that and we get only 5. So in the GraphQL, we will just write 5. And we got P001, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's write the group by. Let's see the data. So we have a rent column which we can use for aggregating the data. Here we have rent underscore PCM and it's numeric. So it's an integer. So it has to be integer, otherwise you can't use the aggregation, right? That is something you need to remember. If something is not integer defined as string and you want to do aggregation, then one of the ways create a view on the table and you can use the view similar to using the table in the GraphQL. Just need to select that particular view as the source. Other ways you can even transform the data using a notebook or data flow Gen 2. Great. So let's now apply the group by. How we can apply the group by condition? So I will remove this completely. At some time we got confused. So how we are going to write group by? Let's select the source and you can see there is a group by. You can select fields. We are selecting fields listing date. No, rent amount, right? We want to aggregate rent. So let's select rent underscore PCM. And you need to give the field, right? When you write the SQL query, let's first write SQL query so that it's not confusing. We will go back to the SQL query 3. And this time we will write a group by query first. So let's select the town. So we are going to aggregate the data based on town. So select town and then we will see the min. The field name is rent underscore PCM max and average. Let's rename them so that we can see minimum rent, maximum rent, and average rent. We need to now group by. So we will say group by town. Right. So let's just run it. And we get the data for minimum rent, maximum rent, average rent for each of the town. Let's write similar query in GraphQL. So we need to give here even the field for group by, right? So we are grouping by town. It can be a list because multiple field can be used for group by. And in this field also, you need to give town only because we are selecting. And now, once you select this field, you can give aggregations. We will go with max. Field name is randpcm. Remember, no need to use commas in GraphQL. And we will again give a field called randpcm and average. You can use even other count or sum, but in this case doesn't make sense. So I will go with. Now, how can you write rename? I mean, how you can rename? So you can simply write here max rand underscore pcm equal to min rand pcm. Sorry, it has to be a colon, not equal to. And we can again write average rand pcm. Great. So this is how we write. Let's format it. In case, click on format, right click, and great. Let's just run it. And you will get the data for slot. Let's compare the data. So max is 1850, 1125, 1462. 1850, 1125, 1462. So that's all right. And we got 7 rows. In this case, again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, it has worked. How can you apply now having condition? Let's see. So we are going to apply a having condition on max rent, where max rent is greater than 1850. That's right, having and then greater than equal to 1850. And let's close the bracket. So initially you will find it a bit confusing because sometimes we need to give field and all, and there will be brackets coming into picture just like JSON. So don't worry about it. Slowly you will understand the syntax and it become easier for you. So we have given the having condition. Let's just give the same condition here. So we will give having max rent PCM greater than equal to 1850. Run it and you get greater than 1850 4. Similarly here we will get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just format it again and now it's aligned properly. So use the format option because that will make your queries easier to read. And again you can give more option. You can add more fields in the group by, so it's nothing, it's similar to SQL you can do. Next, understand how can we use parameters and variables. So parameter is nothing but we have already used the getter and equal to. We have passed this, and this is how we can pass the parameter 1850. You can pass parameter in different way to a GraphQL query. We have previously passed the parameter. Let me show you again. So if I go and see here first, sorry, let's just say first, and instead of now we can use the parameter value. Maybe we'll say 3, top 3. So we will get 3 entries. This is 3 is again a parameter. Let's see how can we pass the variables. So let's pass the same values by variable. So we will first say limit. Let's give it in the key value pair. So limit, we will say 3 comma, and next we will pass the max rand param and give it as 8050. Now we will use both of these values. These are variables limit and max rand param variable, which has value 3 and 1850 respectively. Now we are going to pass this to a query. How can we pass? You can pass to the query block within a bracket, and you can even name it like get properties data, and you can pass them. So we are going to how you can pass. First of all, you need to define the data type with a dollar. So give dollar limit, and we will say it's an integer int, comma. You need to pass variables as a comma separated list. Dollar max rand param. And instead of 3, just replace it with the limit. And here max rent, max rent param. Now why this error is coming? Because we have not defined the data type. So let's define data type again as integer. And let's format it. Great. Let's run the query, and we again get the similar data. So this is how we can pass the query variables, and you can pass a number of query variables. Just need to concatenate in the form of key value pairs. So far we have seen how can we do operations in a single table. Let's now understand the relationship. Let me remove everything, and let's write query. So we can give UK properties data items, property ID, furnished, available from. Now what will happen if I write again another source, suppose inquiries, items, inquiry ID, property ID, inquirer name, email, and phone. So how it will work? In this case, this is not relationship. I will tell you later why. But let's just run and understand what will happen if we simply give in a query block UK properties data and inquiries data. Let's run it. In this case, data will be simply concatenated. You can see at the end once the data of, yeah, you can see inquiries now. Okay, this is not a relationship. When you want to use a relationship query, first of all, you have to create a relationship. Now we will see how can we use relationship concept. And relationship will work in a single direction. Suppose you are defining many to one, then you have to write from many to one in this block. And it won't be inner join, okay? It will be left outer join kind of thing. How can you write? After the items only, you need to give the other source. And you can nest it to multiple levels. I mean, you can have 10 sources, 5 sources, doesn't matter. You can write using the same logic. So you define a relationship. Let's first understand what kind of relationship exists between UK properties data and inquiries. So a single property can have multiple inquiries. UK properties data and inquiries. A single property can have multiple inquiries. So let's just create a relationship. How? Click on three dots. And there's an option called manage relationship. Click on that. Click on new relationship. Now we need to choose the cardinality. In this case, one to many. So one to many. We can have four cardinalities: many to one to many, one to one, many to many. UK properties. Property ID is the key between the two tables. So I will select same key and create relationship. Click on that. I repeat, we have four types of cardinality. We need to choose depending on the data relationship, and single properties can have multiple inquiries. So that's why I'm choosing one to many. Create relationship. And you can even delete this relationship if you want later. Okay. You have this delete option. If you select that, you can delete. Just want to let you know. Now, how can you write relationship? You can use after the field you're interested, and we can give the source name inquiries here. Again, items, and select the fields you want. So I will give property ID, email, phone, and source. Let's run it. Now this way you will get the relationship data. So for property ID P001, we have inquiry from sarah.thompson@example.com, phone, and source number is also listed. Similar data exists for P002, P003, and so on. Okay, this is how we give query if you want to use the relationship concept. Let's just see schema. Now if you go through schema, it has some directive, which is the metadata. It has some default value for data type, what all data type it supports. There is an enum for order by. So this schema is self-describing. And you can see even UK properties data aggregation. That's what I mean. The data aggregation type we have max, min, having, integer, filter, import. So you can see the complete schema. You can see the data type, property ID is string, rent is integer, deposit integer, furnace is string, and so on. You can find everything regarding it when you go through this schema file. It will show you even the operation support, equal contains, not contains, start bit, end bit, not equal to, is null. So you can use even the is null condition true or false, and you can have even in. So like SQL, we can use even in. So this is self-describing schema, and we export this schema. Suppose you want to expose your GraphQL endpoint behind a API gateway in Azure. We will see that option in the next lecture. How can we use GraphQL behind a gateway for better security, applying caching, applying rate limiting feature, and many other things. We are also going to understand in the upcoming tutorial how mutation works. So mutation is nothing but how can you create, update, or delete data in these tables. So we are going to use the concept of mutation. You can copy the endpoint using this option. You can export the schema. You can even generate the code. So if you click on this generate code, you will see your code using Python along with the query and Node.js. But of course, you need to first fetch the token. This is only for testing. We will also see this option. It will take some time to explain things. That's why I'm not covering in this tutorial. And when you click on query, you get the query schema. Mutation we will see later. This is a setting. If you can see endpoint, and you have this feature called introspection, which you can turn it on. So when you switch on the introspection, you can even write query on schema. Like this query. If I write this query and execute, introspection is not allowed for the current request. I can enable this option, but remember, anybody can inquire about your schema, so it depends on us what we want to do. If for better security, let it be turned off, but just want to show you that it's possible. Confirm, and as soon you enable the introspection, you can run the query and get the data about the directives. You can find more data. When you want to see the type and the kind of each one of them, so you give properties data we have to give, and we can see the scalars defined, bedrooms, type is int, kind is scalar. These are all scalar. Similarly, you can write queries on schema. So don't suggest to use for normal cases, but of course you can enable it in case you want. I can turn it off and then it will not allow again.
Let's now fetch data of a fabric warehouse. Click on get data. There is a warehouse 1 in functions 1 to 3 workspace. So we are going to fetch the data of this warehouse. Notice that it's located in a different workspace. So if you have access, you can query data from other workspaces. That won't be an issue. Let's click on that and connect. You will see a list of tables, views, and even stored procedure. So let's select this time a view, which is payment analysis, and click on load. Right. So the source has been added along with the view. Let's select the data now, and we need to give the source name, items, payment type, payment counts, and total amount processed. Let's run it. We can see we got the required data. And syntax will remain the same no matter what item you are using. You can do even other operation like filter. Let's give filter payment type CRD. Start with CRD. Click on run. Expected name token. Okay. Let's run now. It will work. So we got the data for CRD. So you can even run other types of queries. Syntax remains same what we have done for Lakehouse data. Let's now fetch data from a Cosmos DB. So we have a Cosmos DB test, and notice since it's a different engine, not a SQL engine I mean, we are going to fetch data from a SQL Analytics endpoint. Click on connect. Select the container. Click on load. And it has been added. Let's now run a query. Give the container name. Remember, it's always be a plural name. Items, tenant ID, name, salary, timestamp, and city. Let's run it. And we got the required data. Now this time we have null. So let's check for null condition. How can we write? Filter, city, and this time use is null, true. And let's run it. We got the data where city is null. So we have seen no matter what kind of engine is used, we can query the same way. And again, you can define the relationships, you can do aggregation, all sort of manipulation you can do. You can use parameter, variables similar to what we have used for Lakehouse. And that's the true power of graph query language. In upcoming videos, we will try to explore the other concepts like paging, mutations.
So like and subscribe the channel if you want us to create quality content for everyone. We invest a lot of time and efforts, and everything is posted after proper testing. Fabric keep on making changes in their UI, so in case anything else pop up, we will definitely going to create a separate tutorial on GraphQL. But GraphQL is a vast topic, so we are going to cover it in 3 or 4 videos. Stay tuned for more. Thank you so much. Take care of your health.